everybody.
What's going on? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live?
I'm Adam Manis.
And I'm Peter Martin. And
this is a You'll Hear It.
Daily live music advice coming at you. We are doing, is this our first ever kind of large scale You'll Hear It live?
It's for our first in a while. We did one like a year ago. But we're celebrating today the launch of Jeffrey Keezer's new Elements.
If you keep going, this is background music.
Jeffrey Keezer's new Elements of Solo Piano course, which is this amazing resource for solo piano development. And so we wanted to have like a bit of a solo piano Q&A.
Can't hear?
Oh yeah, can you guys hear our voices? Can you hear the piano?
Our voices?
All right. Now you're just showing out.
Well, that's what happens when you have access to all of Jeffrey Keezer's course, as I do.
Guaranteed. Not really.
Yeah, give us a shout out where you are in the world. We always like to ask that because we don't get to go everywhere. So we like to feel virtually that we're with you.
They can hear fine. Good job, Alexis.
Good job, Alexis. We have Alexis for the first time ever. The wonderful, the beautiful, the talented Alexis. We can't say her last name because, you know, privacy clauses. But anyway, we don't want her to get showered with, you know, messages and everything. So she's manning the sound, the video, so people can hear. And we got some good questions already.
We have some questions.
Let's start with the one, because I made a few notes. I did a little homework. Did you do any homework?
Yes.
The one about basic songs.
What 10 tunes do you recommend an amateur like me get a grip on? Sure, there's a lot of stuff out there, but through your experience, which tunes relate to Jazz Piano Jumpstart beginner courses? Good question, Jude.
It is. So a lot of the stuff, especially Jazz Piano for Beginners, Jazz Piano Jumpstarts, which kind of leads you in there. You know, we're dealing with a lot of blues, of course, the PM blues, but like just the blues form, I think is so important. It's so foundational at every level, but it's the thing at the basic level that I think is easiest to kind of wrap your ears around, your head around, and your hands around. So some ones I was thinking of are Blue Monk, and then C-Jam Blues, of course, which is a little bit overlooked. And you know, if you want it's a basic, relatively easy blues to play, but go check out the YouTube version, well, or any of the versions with Oscar Peterson playing it, and that'll give you something to aspire to.
It's good stuff there.
Great example of taking something very easy and basic and then building upon it and going to kind of expert level. A couple more, and then I'll let you throw some in there. I got Autumn Leaves.
Yep.
You know, There Is No Greater Love. That's a good one. Blue Bossa. Not my favorite tune, but that's probably a good, somewhat basic tune. Yeah. Green Dolphin Street. Or in that E flat. And then another blues I thought of that might be a little bit under the radar is Bag's Groove. And this is one of those blues that's the whole tune. It repeats that 3 times. Does it one more time. That's the entire blues. So those are nice because you can kind of get into them easily. And then there's some harmony if you want to learn that. But there's some great solos on that once you get to the point on the Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, Green cover, the Bag's Groove, Prestige record.
Yeah.
That can be some of the solos that we recommend first.
Yeah.
Like Miles' soul on there to be able to start to hear some of that stuff.
That's good stuff. I recommend some early or some basic bebop tunes too, like jumping in off the blues here, like a Straight Note Chaser, which is a blues, but it definitely comes out of that bebop era and has sort of that chromatic feel to the melody. Also a tune like Groovin' High, I think is a really good tune, like one of your first bebop tunes you might learn. And also a tune like either Lady Bird or Yardbird Suite. Those two are kind of easy bebop heads to learn and can get you,
Fun fact, that was one of the, in our combo, our 7th grade combo, we had a little jazz combo pack that we learned.
Yardbird Suite?
Yardbird Suite. And it was interesting because I was like, wow, sometimes it says C major and sometimes it says C7. But I didn't know, I played everything dominant. I was like, that's weird, why do they write it differently? Because everything I played was dominant.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So those will definitely get you off to a good start.
Yep.
We already have here a couple R.I.P. Lyle Mays word to that.
Yes.
One of the great, I think, players and composers of his generation for sure lost just yesterday.
We've been having too much loss in the music world.
Yeah.
And it's never the right time, but
It's
we've
never
had
the
a
right
lot of
time.
on.
Yeah, I've been bumping Pat Metheny
Jimmy
all morning.
Heath.
So.
Yeah.
When you were younger, learning the craft of piano jazz, what are the pitfalls you encountered during your journey that might have slowed down your progression?
What are the pitfalls? I think
Being young and dumb?
being young and dumb. Yeah. Well, actually, I'll turn this a little bit around. I think some of the pitfalls ended up helping me. So like even like what I was saying about C major and C dominant seventh, like once I figured that out, a light bulb went off. And it's like that whole thing of like kind of making errors, but then not just having somebody tell you something, but actually experiencing. And it's the whole thing of like, how do you learn what hot is? You touch a hot stove. That's a really good way to do it, you know, as opposed to somebody telling you what heat is. So some of the pitfalls, I wouldn't say like, you know, you want to sort of stumble into mistakes, but some of them you just sort of have to hit, you know.
For sure. Yeah. Anytime that you have a setback, that's really an opportunity for growth. You know, that is when we learn the most. So the pitfalls are going to happen. You can't expect them not to happen.
No.
Just try not to follow them down the pit.
Yeah, don't get trapped. Like climb your way out. Plus, a smile is just a frown turned upside down. Not sure if that applies here, but I wanted to point that out.
Gary asks, when you're playing solo piano comping with your left hand, you often mention going to a low root bass note from time to time when needed.
Yeah.
Does it matter when you do this, or can it be any time you want?
Yeah, it can be anytime you want. I think the kind of higher level you want to go with this is when you want to do it is when it sounds like it's needed, which is a somewhat subjective thing for sure. But who better to be kind of subjective about your own playing than yourself? So when we talk about really listening and even imagining yourself, you know those movies where it's like someone's kind of like half dead and their body is like coming out, but then it goes back in? That's the way you have to think about yourself. You're a listener sitting over there, but you're also playing. So as you're listening, you're thinking, you know, so I couldn't tell you why I decided, but I was trying to pay attention when I went down and played the roots. And when it just sort of sounded like the harmonic movement without knowing, because I know what's going to happen. But what's happening? Oh, I'm doing bad? Bad things are happening? Bad things. Alexa says bad things. Is that better? Okay, good. Sorry about that. So, you know, you want to experiment as you're practicing. You want to record yourself so that you can hear. Like the more you record yourself and then listen right back, you want it to see how close, as you're playing, it sounds to what you're hearing back.
For sure.
If you play that and then you record yourself and you play back what I just did and it sounds like this. It's like, wow, it felt so much faster. Like that'd be an extreme version of you're not really hearing yourself accurately, you know?
Yeah. So
that's the best way to kind of evaluate it. Experiment, throw it in there. And then always remember that like how you play in the right hand, how much. So if I play like that where I'm really outlining the harmonic progression, I can get away with playing very little root. But it's such a nice thing because the more you play without the root and then you go down and play, it's got such a satisfying kind of cool sort of sound. So you want to use it to your advantage.
Jesse asks, what is your most out there hypothetical music theory thought going on in your head right now? You know, it's funny, Jesse, for me, like, I don't know about you, but the more experience I get, the older I get, like, the more I move away from out there hypothetical music theory situations. I'm really trying to get closer to the simple truth of the story I'm trying to tell.
Yeah.
It's a weird contradiction, too, because you have to know, you have to kind of be into those, you know, out there hypothetical advanced music theory things to even then kind of circle back around. But once you sort of understand that it's not about how much theory you know or how crazy out you can get, but really the closer you can get to being able to play or write the truth as you see it, that is where the mountaintop is for me right now. I don't know what
I
your
like
thoughts
that.
are.
Yeah, and actually, you know, you think about somebody like Lyle Mays and all the beautiful music he played. Like to me, his way of playing was so organic in that there was a lot of very advanced harmonic things happening, but he made them, like if you were to analyze them.
Yeah, but what he could do with a triad.
What he could do, exactly.
Yeah, you know.
And he could make the complex sound simple and beautiful. And I think that's something, you know, there's many different styles and ways to do that, and that's what makes this interesting. But that kind of approach. So you end up, you know, kind of thinking about a lot of the, you know, advanced or unusual theoretical concepts and trying them out when you practice, and then just sort of let a few of those things come out, but let them come out in a way that's beautiful and simple, because remember, your audience doesn't know or care about theory. You know what I mean?
True.
And you always think about, if you're going to see a baseball game, you want to see a dazzling pitch and an amazing home run and all this. You don't really care about the trajectory and the exact down to all the minutia of like how they're twisting their arm, but they care about that. But they just want to make it fast. They want it going so fast and interesting that you're just catching the kind of vibe and flow of things.
Glenn asks, when improvising in other styles, must chord tones fall on downbeats like when you're playing bebop style? No, and not even in bebop style all the time.
Right.
There's no rule about this or what sounds best. It's really about what sounds best in the moment to you. So if I'm, you know, if we're playing like in a pop style or in an R&B style or whatever, any chord tone over any chord, if you're experienced at it and you're setting it up in the right way, if you're contextualizing it the right way, you can make it sound good. I mean, the key to really is to, this is great, having this background music as I'm explaining this too. No, keep going. The key is, like, what are we in, C here? So, Peter, can you make a B happen over any chord in that C? Right. See, look at what he did there. Any note sound good over any chord. It doesn't have to be a chord tone that's super strong. Realize that chord tones sound strong because there's less tension on them over the chord you're playing. So we don't want to always have zero tension in the lines we're playing or the melodies we're creating. We want to create some tension and resolve it.
Yeah. And remember, because we're supposed to be talking about solo piano, so you know what? We're about to get dogmatic up in here.
Oh, here we go.
This is a solo piano Q&A, so we're going to put priority on solo piano. But to relate this question to solo piano, one of the beauties and joys of playing solo piano is that we have a number of different ways to control how the arrangement is unfolding as we play. So this issue of like chord tones being on the beat or on the upbeat or something are less. We can be less dogmatic about them when we play solo piano, because we can compensate with what we're doing in the left hand and like have the arrangement kind of cover or shift over like what we'd have to signal to a bass player or a drummer to do. And then two, remember, like, it's not so much like when you talk about a chord tone on a strong beat, is that what they said, strong beat?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like a snapshot in time. You got to think about where you're coming from with the line that chord tone is in, what leads up to it, where you go from there. It's very easy to isolate things, but it's not necessarily, you know, productive for how the music actually sounds and unfolds, if that makes sense.
This is a good solo piano question. Hi guys, could you demonstrate, this is from Mark, could you demonstrate what is the double time feel, especially on a ballad going to the solo? Thanks. So on solo piano, we have complete control of the feel.
Yeah.
Just like if you're with a rhythm section, you can double time feels in a ballad or otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that it's important when you're playing solo piano, you know, a lot of times people approach it as like, oh, I can go in and out of time. I don't have to be as precise with my time. I can kind of shift around. And that's one style of playing that can work at times. But when you're playing a ballad, like say if you're doing, what's a good ballad? And you're going to do it like at a ballad tempo. I think it's even more important to play really good time. It doesn't mean you have to play a lot or you can't delay things, but you've got to have that pulse inside of you. What was the question? I forgot already.
Going to double time.
Oh yeah, double time. So you want that set up already. So the regular eighth note and triplet feel would be eighth note, triplet, eighth note. And then if you double time, 16th notes. And I always think like how you go in and out of the 16th notes, the double time. Well, now I wonder if we're talking about double time, just the lines, or actually going into double time.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways you can do it.
That's like still staying in ballad tempo, but playing a double time line.
But if you're playing in a solo piano context, you can imply the double time in the line itself, or exactly what you're doing.
So the regular time is boom, pulse. So if you're double time, it becomes like a 2-field. But the form stays the same. And then if you go double time at that. Back to the regular, that's the triple time to the double time. And then always try to think about, and you can hear a lot of great examples of this on all instruments playing over ballads, the way to transition with triplets in and out of those. So if you've got double time, so that's going from 16th notes to 16th note triplet, to 32nd note triplets to 32nd notes. You want to be able to incorporate those in your lines. You can practice as an exercise just to go strictly back and forth. Then the way you end up playing is mixing it up. But I think in the practice, especially solo piano, get your 2-feel real solid. Just this is actually quarter notes, but it's a double time feel, so it's like they're half notes. Get that going. Let it go a little bit there.
This will lead right into this. This is a great question for solo piano. What's a good set of voicings to use when playing medium swing to up-tempo tunes, solo piano techniques used? So maybe we could talk a little bit about Keyser's course on this, because Keyser deals with this in his new course, Elements of Solo Piano. And he talks a lot about the 3-zone concept. And I know you apply this to your solo piano playing too. And it's an easy way to get especially a medium tempo feel.
Yeah, and I think that, the way to kind of conceptualize this and build it up in terms of, maybe a tune that you know or even a tune that you're learning.
That 2-feel is so important.
So you've got the 2-feel on the left hand, and then the melody or the improvised. And you're starting to think about that third zone. So you've got root movement, bass line, and then you've got melody. But then you're kind of starting to hear that. And this also will start to get your independence of your hands together. And this is a good way to practice it, even though the reality of how you play it is going to be split up between the hands, at least some of the time. But you're also going to have to be able to. So the middle zone is either right hand, left hand, or both. I mean, that's your three choices. And then the bass line, you're abandoning it sometimes, but you've got it established, right? And that's an example of the zone kind of coming on top of it. Does Keyser get into that at all?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the thing. Don't forget about that. Don't feel restricted by the 3 zones. The 3 zones can be anywhere. You follow the melody and whatever is leading things melodically as kind of the barometer of where you are on the instrument. But I mean, that tenor range is wonderful for improvised melodies.
I'm bouncing around now, but this kind of goes off of this. Question regarding how to make the switch from bass chords on the left hand into walking bass sound or 2-feel to less artificial, disconnected.
Yeah.
You know, because you talk about dropping notes, and you can go
Yeah.
into two feel, and we can go into these chords, and you do it very seamlessly. So.
I don't do a lot of walking bass line. Do you do a lot of that?
I don't do a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
don't
like
do
four
it.
on the floor kind of walking
Yeah,
bass line.
I'm not against it, but like on a tune like this, like if you're straight walking, especially down here, like you really can't catch hardly anything with the left hand.
I think that's why you don't hear a ton of walking bass line on some of my favorite solo pianists, because then you kind of taking chords out of the equation, and you can catch them with your right a little bit, or maybe throw some in. But if you break up that walking bass line once you establish it, then it feels like you've lost momentum. However, with the two feel, you can always kind of imply it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It seems to transfer over for longer.
And you can walk in four and just like in these moments, and you can almost imply like a walking bass line if you do start doing that enough without actually going to like a full on. So, I mean, that's not a great answer or like a clear cut answer, but it's really about if you can establish a good two feel, a good half note feel, you can kind of do anything off of that. You can kind of imply a walking bass line or not, or drop bombs or not, but once that two feel is established, it kind of gives you this really nice structure.
Yes, sometimes if you're playing a little faster, I don't know, it still is a little disruptive going in and out, but you can get away with starting and stopping. Once you're there,
once you're even there, the two feel is just more natural to be able to hit everything you can hit.
Yeah, and it becomes such a melodic thing. I mean, not that the two feel's not, but it really becomes a counter melody.
Okay, this is a good question here we have from Rob. Could you talk about the use of pedal in a solo ballad? How to connect the broken chords on the left hand while leaving the right hand lines clean and not muddy? So actually, Keezer in the Elements of Solo Piano course that he just dropped here, he has a whole thing about practicing with no pedal. And I think that's where we start from. Is you start with, I want to develop my legato technique and my ability to hold the notes over and have finger independence to the point where I can get away with not using a pedal, even on a solo piano ballad.
Like this?
Jeez. No. Not like that.
Oh, you said don't hold it or do hold it?
Don't hold it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Practice without your pedal. You can stick your foot under. You can tie it up, depending on what state you live in, if that's legal. But basically, it's called finger legato. And it'll force you to do stuff like that. Can they see the keys, Alexa? Yeah.
She tilted it down so they could see the pedal.
Oh, see the pedal. Yeah, yeah. See, she wants to prove that I'm not using the pedal. She's right. So like if you go E flat minor to the A flat 7, if you have the pedal, you just do that. And it's connected, right? But if you're not using the pedal, you got to do this. To 4. Right? But I do that anyway. Even if I have the pedal. No pedal. Then when you go back to pedal, just a little bit, just when you need it. Ooh, that was sloppy, Adam. Stop it.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
So I'm like, no pedal, just a little bit, just to connect there. And the other thing is you don't have to always mash all the way down on the pedal. You can go half.
Half pedal is very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Alex, let's bring the camera back up. Those are nice shoes.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, somebody said that?
No, I said that.
Oh.
All right, here we go. This is good. I got you here. This is from Mortimer.
Mortimer.
As a solo pianist, provided a truly abysmal piano, out of tune, missing
Yes.
notes in the center octaves, crummy touch. What have you done to get through the gig? Well, drink, Mortimer. I mean, you can just always start drinking as soon as you get there.
Right, Mortimer. That name sounds like the Mortimer Daniels Whiskey Company.
His name is Mortimer Coyle Graham.
Ooh, awesome name.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
No, you know what? That's a tough situation, especially if you're missing notes in the middle of the.
Yeah, you can't even be like, make them sound better.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Well, but you can think about like now, even when it's not that drastic, I'll definitely check it. Like right now, we're having a few tuning issues here. Where is it? There. Like, I'll start thinking about things to avoid, especially like on a ballad. So I might do something like that. But if you're missing the notes on the middle, glass is half empty or is it half full? Let's go to the ones where the notes aren't
That's
missing.
right. Yeah. You can't control that piano at that point. So just accept what you can accept. Or I played a recording session the other day with a Rhodes that had a note that was just completely muted. It just thumped. And I just started using that as like an effect, right?
Yeah.
So I would, sound like and just use it for what you can. I mean, we're improvising here, so if you're on a crummy piano, you just got to accept what you can work with and what you can't, and try to make the most out of it.
Crummy piano, don't be a crummy pianist.
If you try to think of it as a game, okay, I'm playing a video game, I just got to level 25, the hardest level, in that there's notes missing from this
That's
piano.
right. And I can only play in these octaves.
That's right. This is like the final level of Mario Brothers or whatever, where it's just impossible. Then, just try to have fun with it. Try to make it a challenge. This isn't. That's good. Not especially a solo piano thing, but this could actually kind of go into solo piano. What do you voice on a minor 3 chord? A Phrygian or sharp 9, or just avoid the 9? Obviously, the answer will be it all depends.
Like
Context.
a modal thing?
No, like if you're doing like a 3-6-2-5, are you putting the 9 in on the 3?
Yeah, often.
I do too.
Yeah.
No. It's more of a modern sound, so it's no surprise Barry Harris wouldn't. But yeah.
Again, like this is an important thing to think about. Don't just get stuck in the horizontal, like stuck on that one chord. What are you playing next? That works very well because it's resolving. In a way, it's not like where it's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I also think 11s. I love doing 11s on the minors. So it'd be 11, same thing on the 2 chord. And then you can always go flat 9 if you turn it into a dominant. Then sharp 9 on the 6, and then 2, flat 9 again.
Yeah, he mentioned the flat 9 or sharp 9. I think, the 3 chord is really ripe for as much alteration as any dominant chord.
Yeah, especially if you turn it into a dominant.
I actually like to sometimes play it like a C over, like if it's we're in the key of E, like a C over E. Like I think that's a beautiful sound.
Church. Take me to the church.
Exactly.
So,
That's nice. That's really
take
nice.
me to Simon and Garfunkel's house as well. No, but you could also think about half diminished with the major 9. Hello, Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
PD's
Oh,
calling.
it's so
PD
nice.
and Adam are coming over to play.
So nice.
And I think the great thing about that is, again, horizontal, like where does it go then?
Right.
Or, I like this. No, I don't. No, I don't like that
Come on,
either.
man.
No, on the 11. And then like E flat over A, and then D flat over G.
I mean, something to consider on this more than anything is where the melody is in the actual tune, because that could give you ideas. If the melody, yeah, exactly. That's going to tell you a lot. Can you give any advice to when to choose to use the root as the bass note and when to play the third and seventh instead? Thanks for all the advice. Cheers from Denmark. What's up?
Oh, what's up, Denmark? So, you know, a little bit more thought of, again, horizontal, kind of the theme for today. Try to think about your root movement, your bass line, especially on this two feel we keep talking about, as a melodic thing. So let that kind of guide, almost like the way that you'd have voice leading guide your harmonic resolutions or lack of resolutions. Same thing with the kind of melodic movement, as opposed to thinking, am I going to play 5 or 1? Like you might do, well, let's do something like back to that tune, I can't remember the name of this.
I don't know where.
I don't know. So when I get to that B flat minor to E flat 7, because it's so unrelated to the G major, the 2-5 is there. You know, I don't have to think of like just root and 5. I might go. So before I even get to the B flat minor, I'm going to the 6, which is a little unusual, but I'm already thinking about pretty soon I'm going to be on to that E flat. So I want to set that up. 6, 5, 3, B flat minor, E flat 7. So you got that, and then you got a little time, then you got. So it like the construction of it is like a melody, because it is a melody.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. And if you make that, like you can break a lot of rules with root 5, or like what should be where. The melody was what connects it then.
When learning a new song standard, do you always play it in all 12 keys to really memorize it? If yes, do you go full arrangement in each key, or bass shell melody is good enough? I mean, really, it's wherever you are in that process of how you're learning it. There's no like, and today I'm going to learn this standard and I'm going to do it in all 12 keys.
Yeah.
Like we're constantly going through our rep and constantly running through things through 12 keys. It's just part of like your daily practice. You just need to incorporate those keys into your daily practice, no matter what you're doing.
And to tell you the truth, I don't know about you, there's been very few tunes that I learned originally in all 12 keys as I learned them.
As you learn them, right.
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, I learned so many tunes when I barely knew even like the kind of, before I could really even understand jazz harmony for sure, and also where I was kind of learning it by ear from a recording, or maybe from the chart, but more likely from the recording. So just to piece it together in one key, and then I wanted to learn something else. So, but there's definitely been stuff where it's like, I'll know, like you can learn a tune to the point where you know it, in all the keys. And I never practiced that in all the different keys. It's just I played it and like studied it enough, really just played it enough and thought about it enough.
I mean, you're almost practicing those weird keys when you practice tunes in those keys. So think about it like that. You can use tunes you know really well. You can use tunes you're just learning, but it's not necessarily going to make you memorize the tune any faster.
No, and what I found when I did the 30, I don't know if anybody on here was part of my 30-day challenge. You've got your own 30-day challenge going on now.
Pretty popular.
Open Studio Instagram. But I did it in the month of January. I just took something every day and practiced it in all 12 keys and was sharing that. But I remember one of the biggest challenges was this tune that I know the tune, but I don't really even know it that great. And when I started taking that, I was like, like it just sort of started to kind of make sense, but it definitely, like by the time I got through like half the keys, I was like, oh, okay, now I really know the tune, So sometimes if you go back and work on stuff that you already know, it can really open up a whole world.
Man, there's some great questions on here. Just FYI, everybody, we have about 10 minutes left before PM has to leave the building.
Yes.
So make sure to post your questions here so we can try to get in as many as possible. We've had a couple about accompanying vocalists or soloists. Thank you. This is an incredible resource. Horn player here.
What happened to solo piano questions?
I'm interested in learning how to accompany singers, soloists on piano.
Yeah.
General approach techniques. Assume no other rhythm section. So this, I think, does kind of fall into the category of solo piano in that we're going to use a lot of the same techniques that we'll use on solo piano to do kind of duo accompaniment where it's us with a singer or us with a soloist, a horn player or something like that.
So this, like anything, your first thing is get some reference points for you. For me, probably the biggest one for accompanying vocalists And to me, it's really not that different with the rhythm section or not. It's more about like how do you accompany vocalists successfully. Shirley Horn. So she was very good at it. She also played piano amazingly and sang amazingly, so that helped. And she was accompanying herself. But to me, that's kind of the gold standard. There's a lot of great examples of it. But when she did stuff, you know, she was always playing with her trio, but she did a lot of stuff without them, even within tunes and stuff, and like on ballads and stuff. The way that she would listen to herself, of course, and play was just incredible. I got one chance to play with her, and I almost like just fell apart. I'm like, why am I, you know what I'm saying? It was like, I can never do anything what she's doing, but use those references of like what to do. And I think, you know, at its most basic level, if you take one of these, oh, and sing along with yourself. And then you start to find those places, you know, the things that work, you kind of get into the cracks. It's different than playing with a singer that you don't know what they're going to do, but you start to learn their style anyway, so it's similar to what maybe you would do.
Just a reminder to everybody too, we do have a special offer for this Jeffrey Keezer's Elements of Solo Piano, which
we
covers.
haven't told them yet.
Yeah, but we're about there. We're about ready to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but you're saying remind them.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a reminder.
So introducing our special offer. You can save $10 on this like super already affordable mini course.
Alexis, is that allowed?
It is. By putting in the code ESP, I almost said ESPN.
Ooh.
ESP, Elements of Solo Piano, ESP at checkout. 3 letters.
That's it? ESP?
That's it. ESP.
$10 off.
And you get $10 off.
Today only.
Today only, so
Today
go
only.
do that.
This is one of our most reasonable, this is our most reasonably priced course of Keezer's anyway, so.
It's an awesome course.
Yeah.
It's an awesome course. Paul David asks, what voicing scale sounds do you hear on a 3 dominant, like the second chord of Sunny Side of the Street or All of Me? Natural tensions versus alter tensions. I'll tell you what changed the game for me on this is going between treating it as it's like a tonic, like it's just like a dominant one chord. You know, that's like the easiest way to get funky with it. And then you can also, once you learn how to do that, then you can alter it to go where it's wanting to go.
That?
Yeah, kind of.
And again, I'm gonna just, because it's the theme of the day, where are we going to with that? I like this idea, like when you think about it as its own dominant, I think that opens up some bluesy stuff. But if you think about where it's going there,
do the altered thing too, but I think both.
Well, I was doing even half whole. Is that legal?
Yeah, of course. Anything's legal. It's a secondary dominant. It's meant to be played with.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but learn how to kind of play on it like it's its own thing.
And then, you know, when you're soloing, so if you do something like this, C major, you're actually doing 2 things. You're connecting it melodically without getting stagnant and vertical, and you're doing what Adam's talking about, is thinking about it as its own thing. So if I go, and then I alter the melody to fit in with the harmony, look at that. You're outlining that triad. But because you've connected it with that, nice.
Yeah. So we've had a couple of questions about stride piano on here, and I'll speak for you a little bit. I'm definitely not a stride piano expert. I don't hear you play it a lot. And you know, the players that do it really well, it's kind of their focus. You know, like you're kind of a focused stride player, or not.
Yeah.
It seems like to me. So I don't know if we have enough. I mean, we can speak on it a little bit about. I know the basics about it, but
if you want to go really kind of to the origins of it, I think one thing I'd recommend is the I'm going to forget the name. It's Jelly Roll Morton's, there's some sheet music on it you can probably just find online. King Porter Stomp. But it's got this stuff, it's all written out. I haven't done it in a while, so that's why it's very sloppy. But it also gets you some of the transitions between.
And those are kind of, I think everybody can kind of like do the throw in the hand up. But those transitions are really what make it.
And it's kind of like, it's a little bit past the rag period, but it's got the incorporation of the rag with the New Orleans with the big 4 rhythm. Like it's really the bridge right into jazz. King Porter Stomp, Jelly Roll Morton.
Some great questions on here, and we're just about out of time. Patrice asked, if I buy the course today, can I practice it in a few months, or is there a limited time? No, you buy it today, you have it for life. It's lifetime access, so no hurry.
Your lifetime.
Yeah.
You can't pass it. Oh no, can you pass it down to your
Probably
kids?
could, I guess. Someone says, see you tomorrow in New York. Are you in New York tomorrow?
Not tomorrow, but in a couple days. Yeah.
Friday. Jazz at Lincoln Center.
Oh yeah. I'll see you there. Valentine's Day.
Again, enter the code ESP at checkout.
ESPN Sports Center.
ESP. There's a link here in the chat for Jeffrey Keezer's new Elements of Solo Piano course. It's an amazing course. And then, I don't know if you know this, but when you purchase it, Keezer's going to do a live Q&A.
Wait, but do they get access to that if they buy it today?
Oh, they do get access to that.
Well, we should be telling them about that. Is that true, Dan?
That's a hat on a hat, though. That's a hat.
Did they get access to the Q&A with Keezer if they buy it today?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And when is that, next week?
No, it's in a couple weeks.
It's in a couple weeks. Yeah, so that's going to be a very exclusive thing. I think Keezer's never done this before.
Keezer's never done a live Q&A like that before.
He's super nervous.
Yeah. No. So if you buy the course, not only you get $10 off if you enter ESP in the offer code, but then you can get the Q&A with Keezer. I'll be on that Q&A too, kind of moderating like I am.
But that's limited to the first 100 people, I believe, and we've already got like half of those.
Yeah, there's not just a few slots left.
Yeah.
But,
so get on that.
Thank you for all the questions. We're going to keep doing these live Q&As on the somewhat regular when we can. Because
every day.
No,
we're not going to do
them every day. But they're super fun to just hear all these great questions. These are amazing. Can Open Studio members get free tickets to hear Peter in New York City?
Of course.
No.
Not for me, but... We should do a giveaway for that. We'll do a giveaway sometime.
For a live thing?
I have so much trouble getting my own tickets at Lincoln Center.
Is this a live thing?
It is. You know what? Actually, we'll do a thing. So I'm going to be, actually, we have 2 Open Studio artists. You don't even know about this yet. In April or May. Rachel, when is the Mesro gig in New York? April or May? April. Yeah, so we're gonna do. I'm doing a duo gig at a really cool club called Mesro with Homero Lubumbo, our resident guitar expert. We're gonna do Rio meets New Orleans at Mesro 2 nights. It's a Friday and Saturday. I think the details are at petermartinmusic.com. What's the dates, Rachel? 17th and 18th of April. Maybe we'll do a little giveaway for that on the next live.
Do they have room in there?
I know it's not a lot of seats. Actually, yeah, that thing's going to sell out. But yeah, maybe we'll do a little something for Open Studio members. So
awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the questions
today,
and thanks for being here.
And
until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow. You want to play us out a little bit?